Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. So we're here at my friend Brian's house, and this is his yard, and Darren Hovis did all of the excavation on this to make this hillside flat, and now Brian's got his house done and he's ready to put his yard in. So we're gonna haul some manure from Rex's, our other friend, and get this tilled in using the landscape tiller. So follow along, we'll see if we can't make this a nice yard. So the plan on this yard is to go ahead and get some fertilizer down using this horse manure, because that hillside is pretty much just clay now. They had just a little bit of topsoil there, and they did spread that over what they could, but mostly that hillside is straight clay. So it's not going to grow anything real well. But luckily, our friend has a horse farm, and he's got this giant pile of horse manure. So hauling this manure over using my little dump trailer, and then using Rex's much larger dump trailer, we're going to get all this manure hauled over, and then we're going to use our tractors to spread it out on that hillside. And then finally we're going to take the landscape tiller and go in there and work all of that manure down into the soil. That landscape tiller will fluff all that soil up, and then Brian can come in and put down Kentucky 31 fescue along with some winter wheat and get that grass popping up, get some roots established, and hopefully keep from washing this hill out again, because right now it's covered in rain ruts and there's nothing growing on it. Wish us luck. So I ended up hauling a total of 4 trailer loads, and Brian hauled a total of 5 in that dump trailer, and then he also had some put in the back of his truck. One of the reasons he had to put in the back of his truck was to give him a little bit extra weight, because we've got a pretty steep gravel driveway to go up to get this stuff. And I'll tell you what, my truck's a half ton and it's 4-wheel drive, and in 4-wheel drive low, hauling that little trailer up that hill, that's about all it wanted to do. So here's some of our haul. Luckily, we were only hauling a couple miles, so it was a real easy day, honestly, for hauling manure. Much better than last year when I hauled all this manure to my place. Now here's that gravel driveway. Look at this truck eat. I tell you what, it gets bouncing, and that's not good. On top of this hill is one of the most beautiful building sites I've ever seen. And they put a fabulous house up here. So I'll tell you what, that gravel driveway, it's worth it. Another thing is, if you just walk down to get your mail every day, you'd never have to join a gym in your life. We can probably kick that out. All right, so we've got all the manure over here. Now Brian's spreading it out, and I'm gonna get on the Kubota tractor and use the landscape tiller free seeder to work it in. Trying to get this manure spread out evenly throughout this big yard, and once we do that, then we'll use the tiller to work it in. I'll tell you what though, this fresh horse manure on clay, it's slick. I don't know about cats and linoleum, but I'll give it a run for its money. I think this might go faster than I thought.
Perfect.
Okay, watch out. I'll start it up. This horse manure comes from the daily cleaning of 5 different horses' stalls. So in addition to manure, at least 50% of that is the sawdust bedding that they use for those horses. And the nice thing about that is that sawdust will hold the moisture in. So in addition to getting a lot of nutrients into this clay soil, we're also getting a lot of this sawdust that will serve to hold the moisture into it. And if it does as well here as it did around my barn, he'll have a fabulous stand of grass here shortly. Brian is going to plant this with 31 Kentucky fescue. And the nice thing about that is it has nice thick roots. It's very drought resistant, and it'll do a nice hardy stand of grass. Now, the only problem with it is all grasses come up a little bit slower than some of the cover crops. So he's going to go ahead and mix that about half and half with winter wheat. The nice thing about the winter wheat, or even using oats, is they germinate so much faster than the grass seed does. So throwing down that winter wheat, that stuff should start popping up within a week, and then that will keep it from being a little more resistant to being washed out if we get a heavy rainstorm. And we'll hold that in and start developing roots on this hillside to prevent the ruts. And then the grass will follow along right behind it. First time you mow it, you won't even notice your wheat no more, and you'll start having a thicker and thicker set of grass. Then you just overseed it as needed. I don't know if they'll show up on camera, but there's rain ruts down this. We got a 5-inch rain the other day, and it did a number on it. So
it tore it up pretty bad. So it's hard to see, especially since he's already put stuff on it, but you can just see where the water just ran through and just washed.
But over here where we've used the land seed tiller, pre-seeder tiller, like I said, it's filled those rain ruts in. Now if we get a giant gully washer, they'll wash right back out. But for now, they're a lot better than if we can get this seeded and watered with sprinklers. It's not supposed to rain for over a week now, so fingers crossed we'll get this yard looking good without the rain ruts.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, and if you look, this whole shelf is a rock. Now this is one of the bigger ones, but and they had that problem when they excavated this, was they were up against rock.
Well, we'll get as much of it out of it as we can, and the rest will become yard. It's gonna look great.
You can tell this isn't Brian's first rodeo with that tractor. And I'll tell you what, the value of having a piece of equipment that you're comfortable and familiar with can't be overstated. Especially on a homestead, a compact tractor is probably the #1 tool that you'll use. And he's got it down pat.
Right here you can see some of these rain ruts that they're dealing with. I'm try to show you, but this is past my wrist deep. I don't know if that shows well, but these things are really deep. And they're just all over their hill. Apparently, they had this all seeded and strawed and really nice, all flattened out. And right about the time they got done, and this is a very big yard, right about the time they got done, they said the skies darkened up and it started raining, and it apparently rained about 5 inches overnight. And that's a lot of water. And all their seed and straw and hard work went flying down the hill. So that's what we're trying to do, is get rid of these rain ruts. See if we can get some grass to grow on this. It's not supposed to rain for the rest of this week and part of next week, so we are hopeful that they'll be able to get some grass growing before the rain washes it all down the hill again. This is so steep, I have to aim the camera uphill a little bit in order to show you them to you at the top. So steep, he's having trouble backing up it. So he just gave up.
might be the steepest hillside I've worked on. And this landscape tiller is still doing a great job. What I found out was on the steeper part, I had to back up the hill and then use the landscape tiller when I was coming down the hill. The tractor just didn't have enough traction to do it any other way. Unfortunately, I feel like the landscape tiller would have done a much better job if I could have went long ways across that hill. There's just no way to do that though on that steep. Like I said, I was wearing my seatbelt. Obviously I've got the ROPS up, taking every precaution, and we're just working safe. I'd rather work safe and have a little bit less quality job than take any chance at all of breaking a piece of equipment or myself. Be safe, everybody. This was about 4 hours of running this tiller, and it did a great job, and the tractor did a great job. But instead of not showing you some of it, we're just going to speed it up a little bit. Hope you like it. This view does a pretty good job of showing how good of a job this pre-seeder does. And so it really is a lot like a Harley rake in my opinion. And it does a great job not only kind of smoothing out this ground and getting it ready to have seed, but I've used it in gravel driveways as well. Now what I found out was you don't hit big rocks, and you definitely don't want to run over any concrete. I hit a place in the driveway where they'd done a washout on a truck, and it about threw me off the tractor. But anyway, this thing is erasing these ruts, and it's working that horse manure down into the soil and evenly distributing it. Look at that rut to the left. And as we come down this and go over it, that rut just totally disappears underneath this pre-seeder. So it's a heck of a tool. I got tired of being turned around backwards watching it. Like I said, a Harley rake that would go on the front of my skid steer, I think would be a whole lot easier and nicer to use. But honestly, the job that they do when you're finished, you can't really tell a dime's worth of difference between them. So I like this pre-seeder. I like it a lot. One other thing about this particular pre-seeder is it's angled off to the right, and I think that's like 20 degrees, and it's designed to make a windrow. And what the practical part of it is as you're going down through here, any little rocks or sticks or anything, it works off to the right side. So you could go along there and pick those up, but honestly, in this application, it's pulverizing that dirt so much that windrow is, I mean, it does stand up a little bit, a couple inches, but it is so pulverized that the first time it gets any moisture on that at all, that's going to lay down. Or, of course, you could use a roller or anything like that to roll it out. But running over that, again, lightly would probably also knock that down and make it look a whole lot more level or flat when we're done. But we were just happy to get it all run over, get all this manure worked in, and get rid of these rain ruts. We can live with those windrows for now. Like I said, as soon as that grass sprouts, you'll never see those. since Brian was done spreading this manure with his tractor, we had him go ahead and jump on the Kubota and run the pre-seeder for a little bit. And I think he liked it. I know he did a really nice job. And I'll tell you what, this job wouldn't have been possible without our friend Rex and even our friend Darren, who did all this initial excavation so they could put this house up here. But I'll tell you what, Brian, you got a fabulous house up here and you got a view that can't be beat. And soon you'll have a fantastic yard. Welcome to the neighborhood. We're so glad you're here. All right, well, I think that turned out pretty good. And Brian's happy with it. So as long as when Ann gets home from work, she's happy with it, I think it's a winner. I'll go and fly the drone around so you can get a good shot of it. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you got anything out of this, give us a thumbs up. It absolutely helps the channel. And we invite you to subscribe to see more. Have a great day and be safe.